You are listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector here at the Private Officer Beat Radio. Every week you'll hear breaking news, topics of training, information for the industry of security, public safety, and law enforcement. So strap in, hang on, we're about to speed off in this episode of the Private Officer Beat Radio. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, maybe even good evening. Across the time zones and globally around the world, you're listening to the Private Officer Beat Radio. I am your host, Rick McCann, and founder of Private Officer International, Armor College, and a number of other businesses. And we're joining you live today from Studio A here in our corporate offices in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, last week we brought the show to you from Maryland, and the week before that we brought the show to you from Gulf Shores, Alabama. But now we're back for this edition right here in our corporate offices in Studio A. And we have got a lot to talk about in this program, as we have every week. We pack the show full. And in fact, we have so much stuff to talk about on many editions that we just don't get through it all. And I apologize for that. We have expanded our show in previous times to 3 shows a week, and we may be doing that again. Besides the Private Officer Beat Radio, we also have from the legal side and the Loss Prevention Zone. Be sure to join those radio shows twice monthly right here on the Private Officer Beat Radio Network. Now, every day, Monday through Saturday, let's not forget Sunday. All right, Sunday through Saturday, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, even on holidays, even Christmas. Yeah, that's right. Even Christmas, we make our people work. You can go to our blog, our news blog at www.privateofficerbreakingnews.blogspot.com, and you can right there catch up on all the news that's happening in the public safety, private security, and law enforcement arenas. We keep track so you stay informed. And that's how it's always worked for the last 17 and a half years that we have had the Private Officer Beat and Private Officer International. So be sure to check that out. And, of course, go to our website at privateofficer.org, and you can sign up to get breaking news right there in your email. Anytime there's something major happening, or an officer down, an officer killed in a line of duty, or occasional updates on training availability and opportunities, privateofficer.org. This week on the Private Officer Beat Radio, we're going to be doing delving into part 2 of the Private Officer special that we're doing, Private Police, who they are, what their duties are, what they can and cannot do, and the growth of the use of private police throughout the country. More than 30 states now have statutes that allow for private police officers. We'll be talking more about that. And we do offer at Armor College a special course for private police, and you can take it online, 16 weeks. And if you are wanting to be a private police officer in Maryland, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, Maryland, you can contact our Peace Officer Academy at helpdesk@armour, ARMOUR, college.org. We are certified to teach private police and peace officer certifications in about a half a dozen states, and we will help you out with that. And I forgot to include Washington, D.C., of course, the District of Columbia. So if you are interested in being a special police officer or private police officer, contact us at helpdesk@armour, ARMOUR, college.org, and we will get you registered and get you through that class and help you to become certified. We, over this past week, have seen more violence, more private officers shot, more law enforcement officers being shot and returning fire. In fact, just a few days ago in Tacoma Park, Maryland, a suburb of Washington, D.C., a Pentagon police officer, part of the protection force of the Pentagon, shot and killed two people who he believed to be breaking into vehicles. Now, he was off duty at that time, and I'm not sure exactly what that scenario was, but we are still checking into it. And that is actually the second shooting involving Pentagon force police officers. A second shooting happened in the District of Columbia when it seems that the off-duty Pentagon police officer said that a male tried to rob him, and he shot and killed that person as well. Another Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia incident involving an off-duty security officer. Police, U.S. Park Police, tried to pull him over for a traffic infraction. It led into a pursuit from Virginia into Washington, D.C. Alexandria City Police joined the Park Police in pursuit. For some reason, and we do not know why, but this off-duty security officer jumped from his car and down a bridge and was killed. And we're still looking into the who, what, where, when, how, all of those situations that happen, and we'll be reporting more about this. It doesn't make sense. No one understands, not even his family, why he didn't stop for a simple traffic stop. But that is a lot of interactions with private security off-duty situations these days, and that is really tragic. We have had several more security officers shot, several more security officers killed. A Florida security officer who was beat by a juvenile at a juvenile facility, a Methodist home, died after being hit in the head multiple times by a juvenile. A security officer on duty was shot and killed. This past week in New York, the security officer was really not doing anything at all. Police do not know why he was shot and killed at an apartment complex, and there have been multiple incidents of shootings. We're coming right back on the Private Officer Beat Radio.
What a fantastic day.
What a fantastic day.
The water's like glass.
The water is like glass.
Don't forget the sodas.
Don't forget the life jacket.
Who wants the 8 and who wants the 15?
Who wants the inflatables?
What a great day.
To be on the water.
So glad you saw me go over.
That was so funny. When you went over and your life jacket inflated.
Never go out without a life jacket on again.
What a great day we had.
When it comes to wearing life jackets, make the right choice. You're in command. Vote responsibly. This message brought to you by the National Safe Voting Council and the U.S. Coast Guard.
Every year, 7 million animals are given up for adoption, and only about 4 million find another home. There are thousands of animals all across the country looking for a loving home. Abandoned, lost, and in need of care. Volunteer at a local animal shelter, donate, or adopt, and give a home to an animal in need.
Body Armor USA, you know, we've got what it takes to protect you, whether you're looking for body armor itself or you're looking for protective clothing, stab-resistant vest, gloves. Body Armor USA, we've got what it takes to protect you, experts in the business. Give them a call. Check them out online today, Body Armor USA. Also, be sure every day to check our breaking news at our blog. That's privateofficerbreakingnews.blogspot.com, updated daily with the latest private security, law enforcement, and public safety news, situations, incidents, officer down. And while you're at it, of course, you want to go over to our main website at privateofficer.org. Sign up, because a box is going to drop down when you head over there. Sign up for those free breaking news alerts. Those are going to be very serious type alerts, officer down reports, and upcoming training opportunities, and a whole lot more. privateofficer.org. Be sure, if you're not already a member, to take advantage of that $99 lifetime membership right there at privateofficer.org. Hey, if you don't already know it, you can listen to our radio programs wherever you download music across the spectrum, including iHeartRadio, and, of course, all of the iTunes, the Apple networks, all of the platforms where you get your podcast and music every day. You'll be able to find our radio show and take it with you on the go. Listen to it while you're cruising down the road. Check out the app right here on our website to do that. You're listening to the Private Officer Beat Radio. Well, you know, there's always a lot of news in the making every single week. And, of course, this week is going to be no different. But let me tell you about a couple of upcoming items that you're probably going to be interested in. First of all, we have our annual Officer Memorial Services coming up the third week of September, just like we always do. Unfortunately, we did have to go virtual last year, but we didn't miss it. We still had it, and this year we're going to be back on the road once again, holding on-site memorial services for the men and women in the private security and private law enforcement field, something that they deserve. They need to be honored. They need to be recognized. And you can sponsor a program or even have a memorial at your business, your church, your school. Contact helpdesk at privateofficer.com. Well, you may have heard that we are in the middle, week 6 of our Citizen Police Academy, and it is going splendid. It is really going fantastic. A lot of interaction with the students, a lot of questions, students even bringing up their own topics. We have a special Facebook page for the Academy, a special Twitter feed. We are communicating among the instructors, myself, and the students, and having a grand old time. But if you've missed out on being part of the Armour College Police Citizens Police Academy. Not to worry, we're still going to have another one every year from this point on. We're going to have one in the spring and one in the fall. We'll make an announcement coming up later in the summer about when you'll be able to go online and register for the latest academy. And believe me, you're not going to want to miss it, because unlike a physical academy where you go in and you'll learn 4 or 5 different topics, we're teaching 20, 15, 30. I mean, we've got so many topics every week that I've really honestly lost track. But we're going to take you from the bottom, how police officers are recruited, what testing procedures they go through, what the academy is all about, how people are weeded out, how they become put on the eligibility list to be hired, and it just goes on and on. We talk about patrol, arrest, how the laws are made, lethal and less lethal force, all sorts of things. Don't miss it. Be looking for that announcement coming up later this year to register for the fall edition of the Armour College Citizens Police Academy. Well, we certainly do have big news for you right now, and for a limited time only. And I do mean limited. Unfortunately, we just can't do this forever and ever. But right now, and for the next few weeks at least, all of our POI member family can advertise their service, their company, their product absolutely free on all of our platforms, including our website, our newsletters, our radio shows, simply by sending an email to helpdesk@privateofficer.com. Helpdesk@privateofficer.com. Let us know the name of your company, the contact information, the website address, what it is that you're selling, producing, what service you offer, and we will put that out there on all of our platforms for a limited time, absolutely free. Contact us, helpdesk@privateofficer.com. Don't pass this opportunity up to get that free advertisement. And like I said, we have thousands and tens of thousands of listeners on the radio, people who read our newsletters every day, go to our Private Officer Breaking News blog, people who are members. We're going to exchange all of this information with tens of thousands of people at zero cost to you. Contact us, helpdesk@privateofficer.com. Sadly, this year, 38 police officers have committed suicide. Across the nation, from end to end, every year, more police officers are killed at their own hand than are killed in the line of duty. We have confirmed 3 security officer suicides so far this year. But when I say confirmed, it's like all the other statistical data that we give you. This is information known to us, but not necessarily complete, because many suicides are never make the media. They're never known. And only with law enforcement and sometimes firefighters do the media really pick up on it and post that news article. Security officers do commit suicide on the job, at home, in their vehicles. Maybe not to the frequency of law enforcement, but they definitely do every single year. They're under the same stress. They face the same financial difficulties. They face the same hours, the same difficulties, and unfortunately, sooner or later, it breaks some people, and they have no out. They have no way to escape what they're going through, and they see it as the final resolution. We know that it's not. Call 1-800-SUICIDE if you're having any thought of maybe taking your life or ending it. We're here. If you're a member of POI or not, you can contact us. We have chaplains on call, and we'll be more than happy to consult with you, counsel you, and to
get you to the right place to get someone there who's going to help you understand, talk with you, and work through this situation. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, a lot more happening. We're going to be talking about the 2021 award program, and we're, of course, going to pick up where we left off last week on the topic private police.
If you're not already receiving breaking news and our bi-weekly newsletter, Officer Down reports, and discount training news in your personal or business email, then go to our website right now at privateofficer.org. Privateofficer.org. A Dropbox will come down. Just fill out your info, and you'll be the first, one of the first, for sure, to know about what's happening in the security industry. You'll know when a security officer is killed. You'll also get these great discounts on training and equipment and so much more. Privateofficer.org. And if you're not already a member of the Private Officer International Association, sign up while you're there today. Become a lifetime member for just $99.
I met Luke when I was pretty much born. We kind of just grew up together. He got his license when he was 16. We were going to the beach, and Luke was driving. I was in the passenger seat, and all of a sudden, I don't remember anything. I wasn't conscious for it. We got hit by a drunk driver. I feel like I knew right away that it was never going to be the same. I don't know. The doctors, they were telling me I was so lucky to be alive. When I found out that he died on impact, I didn't really feel lucky. And sometimes I still don't. Drinking and driving is completely unnecessary, and I think it's selfish if you do it. It's not worth taking that risk, because you never know what's going to happen.
And you are back listening to the Private Officer Beat Radio, a production of Private Officer International, a private security and law enforcement organization for the past 17 and a half years, coming up on 18. And we're at the 550 episodes in our radio program so far. And we've got plenty of more talking to do, so stick around for a few more 550 more shows, because we don't plan on ending anytime soon. We have a lot of breaking news coming up, but I do want to mention the annual Private Officer Award ceremony happening right now. We've sent out all of the newsletters, all of the contacts to our members. Be sure to sign up, nominate yourself, your coworker, your employee, your employer, or someone else that you know that deserves to be recognized. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular. They don't have to save the world. They don't have to have rescued 50 people. They don't even have to be someone who has made the press or been in the spotlight. In fact, we prefer to recognize people that no one recognizes. That's what it's all about here at Private Officer International. go to our website or contact helpdesk@privateofficer.com right now for a link for the nomination form, and make sure that you get involved. It doesn't cost a nickel, not a penny, not a quarter, nothing at all. Nominate even yourself if you've been involved in a situation. We have a multitudes of people that we have recognized over the years, and quite a few last year. So we're looking forward to all of the nominations as they come in, and hopefully we'll have a big response. I believe it's the 20th of April is your last day that you can nominate someone. Be sure to participate. Contact us again at helpdesk@privateofficer.com if you have any questions about that. We just got a little information in here to the studio in Tacoma Park, Maryland. We told you a short time ago about an off-duty Pentagon police officer who shot and killed 2 people that he thought was breaking into some vehicles. David Hall Dixon has now been arrested for 2 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, and 3 counts of felony shooting into a vehicle in the killings of Dominique Williams, 32, of Hyattsville, Maryland, and James Linnell Johnson, 38, of District Heights. Tacoma Park Police, that is, of Maryland, said that he changed his story several times. He said that he felt threatened, but video, and you got to understand, there's plenty of video out there these days, especially in a metropolitan area like Northern Virginia, Maryland, D.C. Police say that the video shows that they were actually trying to escape when he shot and killed those 2 men. So he has been charged now with murder. And I have to tell you, there's been quite a few number of excessive use of force by law enforcement and private security, more arrests than I've ever seen in my career of law enforcement and security for murder, attempted murder, aggravated assault, and it's really becoming ridiculous. Case in point, coming out of Nashville, Tennessee, a bizarre and a scary incident. 2 security officers working together get into some kind of confrontation at 5800 Centennial Boulevard about 10:15 p.m. Police say that one security officer was going off duty while the other was coming on. 65-year-old Gary Ellis got into an argument with the coming on duty security officer. One thing led to the other. Ellis pulled a shotgun and began shooting at the second security officer. Bond for Ellis has been set at $75,000. Now, you may think, this is bizarre, this is crazy, this stuff never happens. Actually, it does, at least once a year. And we've had years where there's been several cases right here in the U.S. of security officers getting involved in confrontations, shooting, or even killing another security officer. It's unexplainable, it's unimaginable, and yet it really does happen. And so that's just another sign. Coming out of California, we told you about this situation that happened back in October of 2020. Several security officers in Walnut Creek, that is Contra Costa County, were protecting some anti-abortion protesters. They got into a confrontation with some demonstrators and began to pepper spray them. Now, I saw the video, and it looked like a little bit too much. It looked like they did probably cross the line. But here's the problem. The video clearly showed that both men were carrying riot canisters of pepper spray. And unfortunately, in California, private security officers are limited by state law to 2.5 ounces or smaller. So the DA after a lot of interest in this situation, had two men, aged 27 and 45, Peter Reeves of Sacramento and Isabel Nominee, 27, of Elk Grove, both charged with battery and illegal possession of tear gas stemming from that incident, October the 13th, 2020. Remember video. Remember training. Remember that despite what you think is necessary, you have to go by the law. If it's excessive, it's excessive. If they're running away, the threat is gone. If they're not armed, you can't shoot them unless your life is right there on the line. Come on, people. We know this. This is basic, or should be basic training, basic security training for any officer. Fayetteville, North Carolina, a security officer there was shot over telling someone at a nightclub, at a sports bar, that they had to wear masks. Even though some states have lifted the mask condition, businesses have a legal right to require it, to have their own rules. It's private property. You don't want to be there. You don't want to abide by the rules. You don't want to wear a face. Hey, that's all good. That's all good. Leave. That's how we end that situation. Unfortunately, several men got into a brawl, literally, at Fat Daddy's, a sports bar in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and wound up shooting one of the security officers over a face mask. We have seen this more times than I can count. Seriously, it has been for the last, year. It has really been a situation where security officers have been abused, assaulted, even killed. And there's no understanding to it. And it will continue because the COVID-19 is not over. We're going to be dealing with this situation for the next couple of years. Security officers really need to use good common sense, good assessment skills. If it's too much to handle, call the police and back away. That's it. Washington, D.C., police do not understand why an off-duty security officer, Anthony Lewis, 35, ran from police on a simple traffic stop, led U.S. Park Police, they are federal officers, across from Alexandria, Virginia, in the northern part of the state, across the D.C. District of Columbia line, into the district, the capital of the U.S., and then ran from the car and jumped. I don't understand what happened, and neither does his own family. His wife said he was a father of 3. Does not understand what would cause him to lead police on a police chase in the evening time and then run from them. And evidently he crashed his vehicle and then he jumped off an overpass. I don't understand. 3 passengers were arrested. Police say that they were wanted subjects. It says that the U.S. Park Police, the District of Columbia, and federal authorities are still investigating, but private security, the camera is on you. Whether you're on duty or off duty, you're going to be scrutinized in the same manner as law enforcement. Don't you understand that? Times have changed as you take on more responsibility, as you are being given more authority. It doesn't matter if you're off duty, on duty. It doesn't matter. You're going to be scrutinized by the police, by the media. Times are changing, and unfortunately, we need to pick up on that. I told you a few moments ago about police suicides. Tragically, 38 suicides. One of those this past week was a New York NYPD commander. He died of a self-inflicted gunshot in Department issued vehicle. Deputy Inspector Dennis Mullaney, 44. He was the commander of the 107th Precinct. He had called another officer and said he was thinking about committing suicide. And by the time that officer arrived, it was too late. I personally know a number of people who have committed suicide. I know the stress of the job, whether you're in security or law enforcement, public safety, the military. Maybe calling this number will help you. 1-800-273-8255. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got a lot more to talk about, including private police, who they are, what they do, what they don't do, what they can't do, what they can do, and a whole lot more.
Slow down.
And move over.
When you see lights, vest,
Or reflective. Please, give us some room. Slow down.
And move over.
we look out for you.
So look out for us.
Please.
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 Slow down and move over.
It's the law.
It's the law. It's the law.
Hey everyone, you're listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector right here on the Private Officer Radio Network. Now don't go away because we are coming right back when we've got a whole lot more right here on the Private Officer Beat Radio.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe. And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To not look the other way.
It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Private police. Not really something that the average citizen is familiar with, although it has been around for decades. Private police across the country is becoming more and more popular with the anti-police rhetoric, the defund the police, the shortage of officers, the recruitment issues, the training academies that just aren't training. As more and more businesses, colleges, hospitals, and others rely on the private sector to provide those law enforcement services, you're seeing law enforcement being provided by a private agency. There are many names across the country given to these officers besides law enforcement. They may be called Special Law Enforcement Officer, or SLEO as they are in New Jersey. They may be called Conservators of the Peace, or Peace Officer, Special Police, or Company Police. They may be named Special Officer or Special Deputy, and in some states, constables, an elected position for decades, just as with the sheriff, is also another name given to some private law enforcers. There are more than 30 states across the country who offer some form of legal authority to private personnel. We've talked about New York, Connecticut, Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia. What about Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Massachusetts, and so many others? You have to understand that these private law enforcement officers are no different than any other agency. If you are a police officer in Georgia, your academy may be 540 hours. If you are a police officer in Texas, your basic law enforcement academy may be 980 hours. As I said last week in part 1, every state has the control to regulate and require a certain amount of training, minimal standards under the Peace Officer Standard Training. However, that can vary from state to state. It is all on that individual state to determine what is enough and what is too much training. Of course, we know you can really never have enough training. But with private police officers, their training is compact in many cases, as I said last week again, with the exception of North Carolina. Most states only have a compacted training academy of maybe 150 or less hours plus range time and training in each less lethal tool. Their area of authority is just like any other department. They're going to patrol and have the authority of a peace officer or a law enforcement officer on the property under their control, whether that is a hospital or a college or a corporation or the military installation or whatever it might be. Look at it this way. If you've ever been in the military, the Army, the Coast Guard, the Navy, the Marines, each base have special police, some type of law enforcement. Being in the Army, we had military police, MP. In the Air Force, they have Air Force protection officers. The Navy have police. And so their jurisdiction is on the base and wherever their officers and military staff might be. And that's how it is in the private law enforcement business. The sector known as private policing is no different than talking about a city, town, community, hospital, college campus. New Jersey is unique because in New Jersey there are 3 levels of special police. These special police officers have authority and really a much broader authority than your private police normally would have. Many small towns, beach communities, and resorts use these private police or special police to provide law enforcement officers during that busy time of the season, especially along the coast of New Jersey. Some schools use them as well. Every area, every state, every community is going to dictate, as with anything else, how private police can be used. I spoke last week about Ohio, and one of the states that has many private police officers, and as well as Massachusetts, New York. Every officer, it does not matter if you work for the county, the state, a local town, or municipality, is going to have limited jurisdiction. However, all police officers, even those who are deemed to be private police, can exercise the authority to make arrests on all codes, all ordinances of that town or city, as well as they can enforce all traffic laws and all state statutes, just like any other police agency. Again, we said last week that fresh pursuit, you can chase someone off the property. You can conduct a traffic stop. If a violation occurred on the property, you can definitely stop that person out on the road someplace. Fresh pursuit allows any police agency to continue pursuit of a suspect who's committed on a crime within the jurisdiction of that private police department. There are several unique opportunities in some states to have a private police department that is not affiliated with a college or a hospital or a public entity. Let's take Virginia, for instance. In Wintergreen, Virginia, Wintergreen was a small community, a resort community, a ski resort community that grew and began to expand, building homes, a gated community. They started as just special police officers with limited authority, but they wanted to grow their police department as their community grew, and they developed into a full-fledged private police department with full access to NCIC, that's the National Criminal Information Center, as well as all other information databases used by any police agency across the country. Another similar situation also happening in Virginia at the Carilion Medical Center and Clinic down in the Roanoke area of the state. They too had special police officers for a number of years, but they also developed into a full-fledged private police department, able to use blue lights, able to access the national criminal databases, able to make full arrests, and they are a respected agency. Recently, I had a conversation with a private police agency about CALEA. CALEA is the National Accreditation for Law Enforcement. This gives all private agencies an opportunity to be at the same level of standard and accreditation as any public agency. And when we come back, we got a few more things that we want to cover about private police.
My wife and I are spending more time on our computer.
It's so convenient.
Yeah, but there can be a downside.
Right, like buying fake drugs being sold over the internet.
Yeah, we learned the hard way.
At the emergency room.
Never buy prescription or over-the-counter drugs online from unknown or unlicensed sources, as they are often dangerous fakes. Counterfeits hurt, but you...
Kyle loved hunting. He was in a tree stand and a support broke. He wasn't wearing a safety harness. I can't help Kyle, but I can help you. Please wear a safety harness. Please take the free hunter safety course, and please be careful.
So with the availability and the possibility of being nationally recognized and accredited through a national accreditation body for law enforcement, this gives private police agencies a leg up on other private security and other private law enforcement that may not be accredited. In many states, the State Law Enforcement Association also has accreditation for agencies within their state. This may be a possibility if you want to be a private law enforcement agency in your state that is recognized, having met all of the requirements to be accredited. You may not need to go through a local process or a national process, but you may be able to go through a local process with the police association of your state. It's always good to have some type of standard recognition, accreditation, a mark or seal of approval, if you will, and this is one of the ways that you can definitely do it. There is a lot, like I said, in the last few years, there's a lot of call for private police. We know for years the privatization of law enforcement, of the prison systems, of the criminal justice system. I was talking to someone a few weeks ago about probation officers. This is an area also across the country that for years some probation agencies have been completely privatized and run by a private company. Private law enforcement, private criminal justice, private jails and prisons can often do the work quicker, better, cheaper, and have access to almost unlimited funding rather than having to get approval for more personnel, for more equipment. Private companies build this into their proposal, into the budget for their client, and so it's a much more effective process. You're going to see private police from one part of the country to the next being used on a much broader scale in upcoming years. In closing, I do want to give you one more thought about private law enforcement. In Maryland, D.C., Virginia, North Carolina specifically, we are looking at combining multiple private police agencies into one agency called the Unified Law Enforcement Department, and this will provide uniformed services in multiple states. Unified Police Services will offer elite law enforcement because we have access to all the criminal databases. We have access to being able to run tags on licenses. We have access to transporting prisoners to the jail. We have access to everything that law enforcement has. We can do it quicker, better, cheaper, and this is the way that you're going to see more and more departments, both private and public, going. In fact, having a conversation just within the last few days, we talked about in the Salt Lake City, Utah, Michigan, in the Detroit area, Indiana, and a number of other states that have combined their local police resources. Numerous towns, several towns, going into one unified police department. In Pennsylvania, they've done this for years. They have unified police services that cover a broader area than they normally would. They put all of their resources, all of their budgets together. They service a larger area, but they do it with more resources, more budget, more manpower. The same thing happens in Canada. They've been doing it for years as well. Now we're doing it on the private side, Unified Law Enforcement Services. Hopefully, if this all works out, we'll cover at least 4 states and maybe even more. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Private Officer Beat Radio. Glad that you have been with us. Of course, if you have more interest in learning more about the private police business, how you can help the community, contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. Until the next time, be safe, be blessed, and we'll see you back here on the radio.